you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
Good evening and welcome back to Leadership Live at 805. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and excited to be back here once again to talk small business with a guest to really share some insights and learn some things that can help you to become a better entrepreneur and leader. At the end of the day, your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take it. So this is one way that you can help prepare to move your business further, faster. So excited to really take some time to talk about one of the most important topics that we can go over, and that's marketing. You know, at the end of the day, you probably heard me say that your most important job as a business owner is sales and marketing. So if you don't get that right, it's unlikely that your business is going to survive. So the more you can know about and understand how to market and sell more effectively, the more likely you're going to be successful. Not just that, the more successful you're going to be. So excited to have a guest tonight who has an expertise in marketing, but not just marketing, but digital marketing. And we're going to be talking about the customer journey, building a customer journey that is more efficient and effective, creating more opportunities and making it easier for people to become your customers and get value from the relationship. So that's crucial because those are some of the first steps to someone becoming a customer. So excited about talking about this evening. My guest is Edward Fridie. His company is Friday Night Designs, and we're going to be talking about the customer journey, what it is, and why it's very important. And let me bring him on. Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Things are going very well. And yourself?
I'm excellent. Glad to have you on the show and really have a chance to chat with you about what you do for people.
Yes, my company, Friday Night Design, we do a few things.
Okay.
And I'll kind of start with how I started my company about almost 10 years ago. We started building websites, and that evolved to creating content for customers. And then that evolved to doing digital marketing. Those are the Facebook ads, the YouTube ads. Now we're working on TikTok ads. All these things are really necessary for companies to reach customers, develop a relationship with them, and turn them into buying customers. So this evening I'm going to be talking about the customer journey, and why the customer journey is so important is that if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So you have to, not only find the customers, but you need to keep the customers. And then as you work with your customers and they find your product and find your service and find your company, you want to make sure that that experience they have with your company, or we're talking about a website or your social media, that it's an enjoyable process for them, that they are happy, they're pleased, and they continue through that journey to actually buying your service or product. So,
Okay, excellent. So definitely that's very important. It's great to be on and great to have people in the audience. Hey, Luis, how you doing? We had a chance to catch up last week at the Veterans Chamber Conference, and definitely always appreciate people tuning in to Leadership Live, and we encourage you to share your comments, ask questions. We'd be glad to address them and incorporate it, because we're doing this for you and to provide valuable content. So the more you can participate, the better. So Edward, you talked a little bit about your background, but what happened before you had your company and before you were doing digital stuff?
Well, let's see. I worked for corporate America. My first, I'll just say, real job after college was I worked for Xerox. And I remember my first meeting, that first week, I sat in on a meeting and they were discussing the office of the future. And that office in the future, and at that time, people were still using electric typewriters and they were using word processors. They're all individual, separate, but their vision, Xerox vision, was that the office of the future will be tied together by this thing called Ethernet. And the electronic documents will be being passed back and forth. And people will use icons on computers and a mouse to interact with these computers, and the laser printers will be hooked on the network, and fax machines will be hooked on the network. And that was the office of the future. So that was their vision. And so I've been involved with the technology, the Ethernet, and which eventually turned to the internet, really kind of in the very beginning days. So that was my experience at Xerox. And then being part of Xerox, I was hired as a trainer. So we had to train people how to use all this technology. And the technology has so dropped in price. I remember word processors at that time were going for $14,000, $15,000, and fax machines were $2,000. All that stuff has dropped considerably. But that was the state of the art at that time. And being at Xerox, I did work in sales eventually. That wasn't my starting job, but it was a good experience. So I was going from business to business, meeting customers, developing relationship, and seeking to sell Xerox products. I then switched jobs to what was Belcor, which it's one of the AT&T, when AT&T broke up, part of the breakup, all these all these subdivisions came out, and Belcor was the R&D division of I guess the Bell companies. And so that's really where I got a good understanding of the internet. Again, those are the early days of the internet. Working with Netscape and those early tools that were on the internet, and stayed there for a number of years, and eventually left them. And again, Friday Night Design was started as a web developer, and again, our business still does a number of websites. I always encourage every new business needs a website, and or if you have an old website, you still need to get that updated. And so Yeah, so that's a little bit about my history.
Okay. All right. That's kind of cool. So you were there at the beginning. Um, and, definitely interesting to see sort of the future and, shifting into marketing and sales, which is a little bit of a different um, field. And what did you find as some of the challenges to shift into like a marketing and sales role? And what are some of the key things that you learned in the process?
Well, initially, I never thought of myself as a salesperson, but again, Xerox has excellent sales training, so it's a skill that you can learn. And actually, I share with some of my clients some of the things I learned back some 25 years ago. Uh, some of the sales techniques, the questioning techniques, to help people to recognize the problem that they have, how it impacts them, and what they need to overcome that problem. That's the sales aspect. In the marketing, is that marketing is making people aware of your service and product. I mean, you might have a beautiful website, but if nobody knows about it, it's just one good, nice secret. And if your business is a secret, you're not making any money. So it's really marketing and sales, as you say, are basic, are really requirements for all businesses to grow and to stay in business.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. So, one thing I've also found is many times for a small business to successfully market, they have to do the opposite of what a larger business should do. Do you find that's the case? And if so, can you give some examples of what that means?
Well, I think the challenge that small businesses have is that often you're maybe a solopreneur or maybe two or three people, and that means you're wearing every hat there is. You're doing the sales, you're doing the marketing, you're building your product, you're trying to do customer service, and it's hard to do everything well. So you're always switching hats. You're doing accounting, you're doing payroll, you're doing the accounts receivable. So that's a big challenge that companies, especially small companies, where a large company have a whole department that does one thing. And because digital marketing is relatively new, there's a learning curve involved. The advantage that digital marketing has over traditional marketing, one, is very cost effective. And I can target a customer, an audience, and I can show that particular audience my service or my product. It could be as little as $10, $15 a day. Whereas compared to radio, compared to television ads, that is so, that's such a bargain. And it's all about making offers. The more offers you make, the more opportunities you have to sell. And hopefully, if you do it correctly, you can convert those people who see your advertising and experience your service, be able to convert them into long-term customers.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely what it's all about. Getting customers, having the right message, but also making it easy for them to buy.
Yes.
And that's what tonight is about. We're going to talk about the customer journey and, leading people along the path so that they can easily work with you or purchase your products. And it's a good experience for them. So.
And why it's so important, I mean, there's so many aspects of marketing. People think of, I got to create content, I have to do search engine optimization, all these different things. But it's very important the customer has a good experience as they interact with your brand. And that's what called touch bases. So anytime they touch your website, what's their experience? If they see your ads, what's their experience? And it's something that you don't have to be very technical to do, but as a business owner, you need to be able to draw that out so you know what your customers experience. What happens when they, for example, when they when they go to your website. It might be a great experience. Somebody might you might have an e-commerce site. A person sees your product. It separates it by the cost of the product. Maybe you're selling dresses or shoes, and you have a bargain section. So they can very easily find their product and prices and pick out what they want. They have a good experience when they check out using a credit card, and then there's follow-up, and they're happy. And when people are happy, they'll tell other people about it. They might say, oh, I had this great experience. I bought this, I found this great website that had all these services, and it was a good experience, and they'll tell other people. They might even post, themselves wearing what they bought. Whereas if you don't have a good experience, maybe you have a slow website. Person goes to your website, they try to maneuver, it's taking too much time, and they're getting frustrated, and they start trying to, well, maybe if I type it in, it'll be faster. And they'll try for so long, but then they say, let me just go to Amazon and order it, not even to worry about it. So that's why, not having not understanding what's your experience for your customers. And sometimes as business owner, you only think it from your part. I got to sell product. I got to get it out there, but they don't put themselves in the shoes of their customer. And that's what one has to do. Once that, just go through what your customers do. And is there any pain point, anything that, that causes them, unhappiness or frustrating? And oftentimes, people will get frustrated and they'll just leave, and you never know, what happened. And and that pain point could be anywhere, any touch point. We just talked about a person having a slow website. Maybe the website is fast, the customer can find what they want, they like what they want, but when they get to the point of putting their credit card in, and if they make a mistake, boom, everything disappears and they got to start all over again. And they make another mistake, and boom, everything starts over again. So, that's very frustrating. So you can adjust that so that maybe if they do make a mistake, just that one section has to be redone, and they don't have to start all over again. So you can lose people anywhere on the journey. So you can, again, a suggestion is that you map out, okay, the customer comes here, then, what's the next step? And, I might wonder, well, how do you know what the customer is seeing on your website? Well, there are tools that can track what they do. So you can see how long, where they're moving their mouse, how long they're on each page. Are they scrolling down? Is your call to action clear? We work with people whose website, and this was a large company, their call to action wasn't clear. So people would get to a certain point and, they would go in the wrong direction. They wouldn't do what, the business owners wanted them to do because the call to action wasn't clear. So we were able to see that and be able to adjust those things so it made it easier for the customer.
Okay. No, that's cool. So definitely trust in the site process is good as well. So now, we're talking about the customer journey. You actually did a really nice online article and that I was checking out on the customer journey. And one of the things that you did was you sort of had a customer journey roadmap and key milestones or steps on the roadmap. you want to just walk us through that, because I think not everybody knows the path that the sales process generally
is that the graph that's awareness, consideration? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the first thing, you have to make your product and service known to people. Again, how do you do that? You can run ads, you can create content. Again, my specialty is using digital advertising, but radio, TV, magazines, all these things help people become aware of your product. So you have to use a combination of these things so that people are aware of your service. And then once they become aware of your service, then you have to kind of develop that relationship with them. Oftentimes it's considered, or often like dating, that when you meet a person for the first time and going out on a date, it takes time to get to know them and get better acquainted with them. And who knows, after enough time, who knows, that might turn into a marriage proposal. So it's the same thing with your customer base. So you have to get aware of them, of your customer. They have to become more familiar with your product, and you just develop that relationship. And use email to develop that relationship. Once they become aware with you, maybe you start to send them information that they might find useful, or products. And again, the more opportunities they have to get acquainted with your services or your product, the more likely they'll eventually become a customer. And that's where social media also is a great tool to develop that relationship.
Okay. No, makes a lot of sense. So actually, let me just pull this up. I think I can pull up your image, and just so people can see it as well.
Okay.
And sort of, so let's see if we can share the screen. Okay. All right. So this is your customer journey.
Okay. All right. All right. So this is, as it says, starts with awareness. Again, you don't want to be a secret, so you have to do things to, kind of blow your horn about your business and services, and again, a variety of different ways, from running ads to creating content to, doing the things to make your, people aware of your product. And then you develop that interest. And digitally, that could be through video. It could be through white papers. It could be through pictures and diagrams such as this. And testimonials are a great way that you can send testimonials about people who like your product and use it and experience it. And all that builds that trust. And again, eventually they'll become purchasing. But once they buy, you don't want that to be the end of their relationship with you. You want to keep in contact with them. It says retention. And again, you want them to become, repeat customers, and you want them to be able to tell others about their great experience with your brand and customers, and your brand and service. So that's the customer journey. Then basically hopefully you'll bring new people into that journey, and they'll start that whole process again.
Okay. So yeah, so definitely, there's a lot of steps to the process. And you had mentioned that, if you miss one step, that could derail the whole process. So, is there one step that's most important or more important, or, how do you look at it, and what are the key things to focus on?
No, the whole, you you want to make sure the whole journey is a good experience for your customer, because you hate to put the work in to have them aware of your product. You have them realize, okay, I need this product, I want that product, and then they have difficulty buying your product. So, every part of that journey, you should map it out so you understand what your customers are going through. Okay, what's their pain point? Now, how do you find out? Again, there are tools that you can find out. That's why you do surveys. After you have a successful purchase, send them a survey. Was there anything that would have made this easier, or what would you suggest, an improvement? So oftentimes people will have in the back of their mind, they know what they like and what they don't like. It just, nobody, you just have to take the time to ask them. And I've seen situations where people, again, most people, if they have a bad experience, will not say anything. They just won't come back, and you won't even know what happened. But if you do, especially if you if you have tracking information on your website where you can track people who've come to your website, maybe they didn't buy anything or they left, to reach out, find out what was the reason. It could be, your pricing was off, or they had a challenge with the technology, or they had a question that it wasn't clear how they, to get the answer to. So all those are things that once you understand, you might have a frequently asked questions. You find that a lot of people are stumbling at this particular point of their journey. And you say, okay, let me put something out there to make it easier for them so they'll get past that. So those are all the things that you need to do to make sure every touch point is a good experience for them.
Okay. So definitely important. And I guess the further you get them, this is also sort of the funnel. So, the further people go in the process, the more important it is to keep them in the process, because it's harder to get someone to that point than to keep someone in the process, or generally is one thing that seems to make sense. So, there's a lot more that we want to chat about. I think this topic is key. But before we do that, I just want to take a minute. Definitely, the Leadership Live and a lot of other programs that I do come through the Small Business Pro University. So definitely doesn't hurt to know what the Small Business Pro University is. So we're just going to take 60 seconds, check out a quick video on the Small Business Pro University, and then I'll be back with Ed Fridie, talking small business. Do you own your business, or does it own you? Is your business growing, and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello, my name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program, or just simply choose the courses that you need at www.sbprou.com. We will empower you to thrive and not just survive, and make more money in any business environment. Okay, back here at Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business. So with Edward Fridie, and we're talking about your customer journey, key pieces to it, how to enhance it and improve it, and really what what you should be focused on in terms of marketing your business. So, one of the things you said earlier in one of your examples was there was a company that they're, they would lose people along the journey because of I guess their messaging, because they weren't asking the right question or weren't guiding people in the right way. So, what are key elements of messaging that you should be communicating through the journey?
One thing, you should have a clear call to action. So, so that's a question you should ask yourself when you're looking at your website. Do you have a strong call to action so that they know what to do next? And I actually made a couple list of questions that you should give some thought to. Do your visitors scroll down to view more content? So they come to your website, they find what they're looking for. Are they looking for more? If you're using content, are your articles informative and easy to understand? Do they include links to more relevant content on your site? Another thing to consider is the bounce rate. Do people come to your site and after a few seconds bounce off? So how quickly do visitors exit the website? Do they leave after a few clicks? Then there's a problem. Or do they stay longer? Is the time on the page long or short? So all these things are measurable. So again, not everybody has the same experience, but you will see a trend. If you see people come to a certain point and then they get lost, you need to fix that. And again, there are software tools that you can see exactly where, what people are, where they're scrolling on your website. If you've given directions, okay, after you see this, do this. Are they doing that? Maybe it's not clear. And instead of doing what you want them to do, they are doing something completely different. So again, these are all the things that affect the customer journey.
Okay. And, when you're working with the customer, what's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you talk to them about to help start the process?
Well, I try to find out about their product and services, about their business, and then see with the customer what their customers are experiencing as far as, from their web page to their social media. So, because sometimes people, again, as business owners, we're doing so many different things and we don't give attention to the most important person, which is the customer. So to sit back and look at, what do your customers experience? And we'll do a chart. The customer, we get you talked about a funnel. The top of the funnel is people becoming aware. And then after they become aware of your product, what do you have in place to develop that relationship? Are you sending emails on a regular basis to those people? Are you reaching out to them? Maybe text or sending videos. Again, you want to create more and more opportunities, touch bases, so that they go from, I didn't even know you existed, to, okay, I know your product, I know your services. Oh, I have a need for it. I'm going to buy. And that buying experience is, painless. I see the product, I understand the pricing, I understand the shipping. If I have any questions, I'm able to get those resolved. If I have an issue with buying, I can get it fixed real quick, customer support. And the actual transaction is very easy. So a lot of times it's just a matter of mapping it out and doing a survey to see where the customers, where are they leaving? What's the hang up? And perhaps doing a survey, creating a survey for the business so that they can send out to their customers. What do the customers want? What do they like? So,
okay,
again, it's all about getting customers, so they have to be happy to continue to buy.
Okay, so now, you said that you talk to your customers about their customers.
Mm-hmm.
How well do they tend to know their customers, and what are things that they may not realize or not know about customers, or should be looking to try and find out as part of the process?
Well, the better one knows the customers, the easier or the more effective you are to solve those customers' problems or issues. Because that's what we're basically selling. We're selling a solution to some type of problem. It could be clothing, it could be a particular service, say that we have a problem or issue with the accounting for our business. So you have to understand that problem with that customer. So what I often do is have them create what they call a customer avatar. Who is their ideal customer? And go into detail. What does that ideal customer? What do they like? What do they like to read? What movies do they watch? What brands? What brands do they buy? Where do they hang out? So that once the person really understands who their ideal customer is, then it gives you a better idea on the content you need to create and ways and where to reach those individuals.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I mean, I think that I always find that I go back to talking to people about their target market, and a lot of times they don't really have it defined that way or don't understand it as well as they could or should. So definitely take them through that avatar, and I think it's helpful to have something like that facilitated, because a lot of times you aren't your target market, but you sort of go based on your thinking. So the perspective you're using may not be this perspective and way your customer will be looking, what they need from you to follow your journey.
And a lot of times, and I'm sure you probably run into this, where people say, who's your customer? Everybody's my customer. So that means nobody's your customer. That's how you feel. So you should know exactly who your customer is, because again, that will help you create what your customer is interested in if you know who they are.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the questions I always ask people. Who's your target market? Well, actually, first thing I ask them is, what is a target market? Because it's kind of hard to say what your target market is if you don't really understand what it is. So how would you define what a target market is?
I would say a target market is the group that will best utilize your service or product. And I always say there are two components. And if one of these is off, then you got to reassess. You got your target market, again, maybe using the avatar so that you know what they like, what age they're in, if it's a family, they have kids, or they're married, all those things help you picture your target market. And then you help craft a message that will resonate with that target market. And if you have the right message in front of the right target, they should respond. But if you don't get any response, maybe it's the wrong target or the wrong message. So you need to tweak one of those components, not both at the same time, because you need to say, okay, let's change my target to a different age group, or maybe a different demographic, or people, this target likes this particular thing, to see what happens. Or we have to change the message. Maybe they didn't like the message. we did a campaign. Actually, it was a beautiful video, but the audience, they did not believe. They didn't believe that the product, and although the product was work, it was a service. It was a product. They didn't really believe the outcome, and so we had to readjust the message so that even though we were telling the truth and we had actual facts and situations good, we had to change it because the reaction of most of the people is that they didn't believe how good this thing was. So we had to modify it. Again, a lot of this is just testing until you get the right message in front of the right audience.
Okay. No, that's a great point. Even if you're the greatest marketer ever, you're probably not going to get the target market right the first time, and it's going to evolve. And there is some trial and error, but the key is doing your research and preparing so that you can get where you need to be faster and easier. One thing, when I talk to people about target markets, I sort of break it into two components as well. The first component, like you said, it's really about who's most likely to buy your products and services. And one thing I find is sometimes it may not be the people that the business owner wants to buy their products and services. So, sometimes there's a mismatch, but you have to remember that you're in business. So your job is to sell. So you want to sell to the people who want what you have the most. The example is, I work with someone who, sold dolls and African-American dolls. And she wanted, African-American girls to want the dolls. But that wasn't necessarily who was buying the dolls.
Was it their parents who
it was more non-African Americans bought them than African Americans.
That's interesting.
So understanding who's the people who are most likely to buy may not be who you think or who you had originally intended your product for. And that's okay, but definitely have to get beyond that. But also the second part, which you alluded to a little bit, is the size. You can't you can't target more people than you can market to effectively, because if you don't have the time, the money, and the resources and don't do it right, your results aren't really going to be that good. So I think it's a combination of the two. But yeah, I think that by helping people narrow and do the research and figure things out and answer the tough questions, you're able to help them get better results. So,
and again, it's testing. I've seen people who are, I guess, new to doing advertising. They run an ad and it doesn't get the results that they expect. And for it to be effective, you've got to, you change it or run it differently. But I've read, sometimes it takes 8 or 9 or 10 touches with the customer before they even remember who you are, let alone buy something from you. So we did a campaign for a customer, and they were moving into a new town. They were starting advertising in a new town, and I told them, these people don't know you. You're cold to them, so you're going to have to, continue to advertise so they become aware of you and they see you over and over again, and they'll eventually become a customer. That first week, somebody called right away, and I said, "Don't expect that."
Right,
that was a
right.
fluke. Somebody we just happened to catch them at the right time with the right message, but that's not the norm. So, that's the thing. You have to get people to realize, if Geico can run one ad and that's it, they wouldn't be running week, all these different ads, because they know the importance of continuing to stay in contact and reaching out to people.
Okay. No, that's a great point, because a lot of people who haven't had sales training, or, marketing and sales isn't in their background, may not realize that, it's going to take several attempts to really be able to convert people to purchasing from you. So that's key. One key thing, and that's big today, is reviews. And you want to talk a little bit about the value of customer reviews.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And I always encourage people, companies that we work with, to start collecting those reviews. If you have happy customers, ask them to write a review. Ideally, I try to get them to, if they have a good relationship with the customer, have them do a video review, because that's stronger. If somebody actually can see somebody or hear somebody telling, their experience, how, it worked, you had a very good experience, that helps build that trust, with your service or product. So, and there are a couple ways you can get reviews. Google My Business, when a person clicks on or searches for your company, Google My Business should show up. It has your hours, operation, your website, but you also have a place where you can put reviews, and ask your customers, especially your happy customers, if they would leave a review. And actually, you should not hopefully just ask them. You should have a process in place where you have reviews, because if you have 10, 12, 14, 20, 35 good reviews, and they don't all have to be good. Sometimes people, have bad reviews. And actually, I've had customers say, somebody wrote, we didn't get along and they wrote a bad review. I mean, leave it up there, but you just have to get the good reviews, and people know that some things happen. Not everybody is has a good experience, but if they see overall that people had a good experience with your product and service, that's trust. So I always encourage people to not just, hopefully they'll put a good review. Have a process in place where you can go get those reviews, that you get reviews, and you follow up and get those reviews. And you can put them on your website. You could use Google My Business, and there are a variety of different places you can put good reviews. But as I was working, again, a lot of this comes from working with different people, and the customers. I asked the customer, when you buy something, what do you do? And they said, well, we go to the website and we look at the reviews of the product and services, what other people wrote. I said, well, customers do the same thing for you. So they understood, after thinking about it, that, they have to put these, they have to have these testimonies and reviews as part of their marketing.
Okay, yeah. So reviews can be helpful, and also it gives you information that you wouldn't have gotten about things you may need to change. Which even if it's not a great review, it can really be positive for your business, because it'll give you some awareness around things that aren't resonating with your customer. So, so definitely, reviews are key. There's a lot of things that are important, but I think, where you said that getting reviews should be part of your process and your customer journey plan. And, a lot of things don't happen if you don't plan for them and if you don't measure them. So, the people who get a lot of reviews, there's a reason. So that's important. Karen shares something good that you can actually, I guess, ask people for reviews through Google as well. And definitely when you're looking at reviews that way is good too. How do you handle reviews, and where do you keep your reviews?
Actually, somebody just posted a link or a comment on that Google My Business has a point where you can send out a link, gives you a review link that you can share. So a lot of people aren't even aware of that. They just think they could just put their business hours in that. But if you have a process in place that you can send them that link, that it's a very easy way to get number of reviews on your product. And oftentimes that's their first contact with your brand or company, by looking at Google My Business. And besides seeing your website or the hours, they see all these people that had a positive experience, and they might see some people who had a bad experience. And actually, to me, that's not a bad thing, because it shows that you're not filtering only the good people and hiding all the bad ones. So, but again, hopefully you have more good experiences than bad. And if you get a lot of negative, you need to address those issues. So, and turn those issues into a positive experience.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways. Actually, I focus more of my reviews on getting them through LinkedIn, which has a similar process, but it depends on where your customers engage and find out about you is where you want to have them. So we talked about reviews. As part of the process also, many people or it could be best practices to have a plan for referrals, and how to not only have your customers do business with you, but help you get more business. And what are your thoughts on that, and how do you what types of ways have you seen that be successful?
I mean, if you can get a referral, that automatically gives a element of trust automatically. If as opposed to somebody finding you cold and then having to read the reviews and look at all your stuff, but if somebody who, especially they know, says, "Oh, I bought this, I purchased this, and I had a good experience, and it works," that creates a lot of goodwill and trust right off. So again, as a small business, you're wearing all these different hats. You're trying to, deliver your product and service, but you need to, or try to have this in your marketing plan, that you have a system set up where you can, follow up, see if the customer is happy. And if they are happy, ask them, do you know someone else who might have use for this service or product? And they say, "Oh yeah." And and then follow up. That's a key thing. A lot of times we get opportunities, but we let them slip through the crack and we don't follow up. But you just have to have a process in place, and that makes it so much easier. Okay, so I see somebody says, what are they writing?
So if you get a written review that someone emails you, how do you post it?
You can post it on your website. There might be a section under as testimonials. I don't. Yeah, I that's usually what we do. On the website, when people are looking at your website, they have a section. What our customers say.
Right, and it's also okay to take the words and put them in a different format with the person's name. You don't necessarily have to take the image of the email as well. So, I guess that's a key point when doing it. As long as you're dealing with the truth and something that someone's actually saying, the format doesn't matter so much.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's cool. There's one thing I don't like about this show, and that it goes really fast. I mean, we're almost at an hour, but it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, it did go very quickly.
Yeah,
I was saying, what are we going to talk about for an hour?
yeah, yeah. So, but we have a follow-up question. And as far as, do you need people's permission? And I would say, well, you're the guest. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, if you request a testimonial or a review, do you need a person's permission to put their name and company affiliation? Um, and I haven't run into that. That if somebody takes the time to put a positive review, I figure that's the permission. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would, my thoughts are, generally, if they put it in the public domain already, then, and they have that information, then it shouldn't matter. Like if they do it on Google or they do it on LinkedIn or whatever. If it's just an email they send you that's unsolicited, then you probably want to ask. And if they work for a really large corporation, especially a corporation that's regulated, then you want to ask before you put their company name. Yeah. But there, different people do it different ways, but it's always good to be respectful, and sometimes that one little question can save a lot of headaches and hassles, and if you have a relationship with someone that's positive, you don't really want to take a chance at damaging it by not asking one simple question. So.
Right. And again, it's different if they put it, as you said, on a public domain versus sending you a direct note. I had a great experience. Just call. I would love to share this experience with others. Would that be okay? So.
Yep. So definitely. So we're getting ready to close out. But one thing I always ask is, because we talk about so many things during the hour, what 3 things should people take away from what we talked about, and so that they can start working on implementing them starting tomorrow?
I want you to think about your customer as opposed to from, as a business owner, you're trying to sell. Think about, what does your customer see? What's their experience when they come to your website? And take the time out and draw a little diagram. They come here, they come here, they come here, and perhaps do a survey and ask them. Or a lot of these software packages that will monitor your website, they have 30 days free, 60 days free, and they're pretty inexpensive. So you can see visually, what's happening when people come to your website. So those are the 3 things would be: think of things from your customer's experience. Try to use some of the tools such as surveys or software to actually see what their experience is, and have very clear call to actions, because people do what you tell them to do. You don't tell them to do anything, they'll just wander around. So those are the 3 things.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. You can never know your customer too well. So definitely understanding that, doing the research, testing things out. There's all kinds of tools out there. So, that's key. And there's always new tools coming out. And then, your messaging is so important because you can get everything right, but if you don't have the right message and you don't have a call to action, then you're not going to get any results. So, this has been great, Ed. Thanks for sharing your expertise. Definitely, it's been valuable. Appreciate everybody's feedback from, the live stream as well, and your questions. And each week we try and bring something special. So, thanks again, Ed. Is there anything else you want to share before you tune out?
I can be reached. You can reach us at Friday night. That's Friday, like the day of the week. Night, NITE, design.com. There we go.
There we go.
If you have any questions, I'm free to bounce things off. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to talk to any of the viewers.
Okay, great. No, I appreciate it. Hang on for a minute as I close out.
Okay.
So once again, another episode of Leadership Live at 8:05. Thanks for hanging out with me this evening once again. And, always look forward to really sharing the experience and talking small business. So, one quick thing to know is that, in addition to being on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, our live stream is broadcast in the metaverse on STEM City USA. You may want to check out STEM City USA at some point to sort of see what it's all about. But, we had the founder of it and the mayor of STEM City on our show a little while back. And, as a result, he's allowed us to be broadcast live in the metaverse. So definitely check that out. It's a great space to learn some good things. Also, really excited about this coming week. We always have some tremendous guests, and next week is no difference. We're actually going to have Dr. Randall Pinkett as our guest. You may or may not know he was the winner of 1 year of the Apprentice TV show, and just a Rhodes Scholar, all around doing great things. His company is on the BE Black Enterprise 100 list, and excited to have him on. He just finished a new book, and he's does speaking and written. So really looking forward to have him as a guest next week, because definitely we'll have a great conversation, and looking forward to it. So that's really what we have going on. As you know, at the end of the day, the more you know, the faster your business is going to grow. And that's why we do Leadership Live and all the other things we do. So thanks again for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.